welcome. You are listening to the Holistic Travel Nurse Podcast. This is Naomi, your host. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Holistic Travel Nurse Podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about the trillion-dollar industry of essential oils. If you are new to essential oils and somebody sent you this podcast to listen to, and they're giving you samples with a reputable company such as doTERRA, then work with that person. If you came and stumbled upon this, or I sent you this podcast to listen to, then reach out to me at holistictravelnurse@gmail.com. I hope this podcast will bring you most education and inspiration to understanding that you can move the needle in your health with natural substances such as essential oils and herbs and nutrition. I have this incredible book in front of me, The Sweet Smell of Success, The Health and Wealth and Secrets, The Oil MD. And so this is James Tad Jenner, MD, an anesthesiologist and an aromatherapist who wrote this book. And I just want to read a few sections of this book out to you that just struck me, because he says that, and when he wrote this book, which is maybe just a few years ago, that it was going to be $1 billion industry to have essential oils. I'd say it will be $1 trillion in time. And I will say why. Because our bodies know what to do with these essential oils when we breathe them in or have them in topically, aromatically, or internally. So he has a section called Nutrigenics, Plant Genetics Affect Expression of the Human Genes. So this is a study on essential oils affecting the gene expressions of our body, which is really fascinating, because the more you look at this and the more you learn that we say, oh, this is a genetic factor and this happens with the body, and that is a negative side effect or a negative factor of the body that's expressing some disease process possibly. Could those be expressed to not display that disease process and those genes? So I know this is a lot of information, just, relax, listen. So the chemicals are made by the plants. They're called phytomolecules. They're defined by each plant's genetic coding. You can say the chemical constituents also of each individual plant. So different things affect, those chemical constituents, those phytochemicals in the plant. So he says in this chapter, the phytomolecules defined by each plant's genetic codes are keys to the function of the human physiology at a cellular level, whether being ingested as food, enjoyed as aromatherapy, or put in on topically. Our human cells are covered with these portholes, gateways with G protein receptors that function as ionic pumps and regulators of biochemical triggers reacting and governed by these phytomolecules. Ingredients and such in the plants and essential oils are human cellular pumps, which activate by smell, sense, induced a secondary metabolite messengers that directly synthesize these proteins and in the nucleus of the cell as defined as the human DNA RNA. What? That's some major science there. So really, he is going down and just telling us that these oils will interfere and interact with our DNA and RNA and our gene expression in our cells, which is super cool. God's medicine as it should be. Common extraction of plants provide the essential oils that are vital health and the phyto solutions and remedies. So, for instance, certain oils of the plant can synthesize the immunoglobulins and a complex proteins, which is really cool because if you think about it, this is where those little compounds will work so synergy effect with our body in restoring balance and giving us back to more of a homeostasis, which is the balance part of our body, and not such as the harsh chemicals in medicine. Say if you were to take Tylenol. Tylenol has a limit. Actually, has a black box warning. Tylenol is very toxic to your liver, also hard on your gut. So a constant base of taking that over time will do damage to your liver. In the opposite effect, those phytochemicals in the oils won't be doing that toxic thing to our body. They work synergy with our body and having a restored balance. So that is super powerful because there are times when we do need a medication, but we should really see if we can only take it very short period of time just so we can go back to homeostasis, back to balance. Just as when you're eating a whole bunch of kale or cabbage or broccoli, all those phytochemicals in those plants do nutrients besides just the electrolyte balance and maybe the carbohydrates, all broken down and doing things to your body. Those other things, they have restorative properties to our body. One should not go without vegetables, just saying. So the same thing with our essential oils. And so that is really unique to the power of essential oils. And that's why you want to have an essential oil that is not been tampered with, that has been watched through the process of harvesting, distilling, and then all the way to bottling and packaging and selling. And a lot of companies, that doesn't happen. They go through a third-party broker. There are some oils that you have to go out in nature and get them. They're grown in the wild. They can't be just a farm harvested. And when you do that, you have to, everyone besides doTERRA goes through a broker. And in between the broker's hands and then putting it in that little bottle, there's all these things that happen. And it's no wonder we have issues. And then there are many companies that will say their oils are pure, but they're not tested to the extent and followed on the extent that doTERRA does. Also, they're looking at what the body, where and the dosage and how these will work in your body. doTERRA does so much science. I was at convention just a week and a half ago and just blown away with the amount of science that they are doing and integrating these oils into so many different parts of people's lives, and so many different physicians and healthcare providers feel trusted to be using them as a source for essential oils. And so that is really important when you are dealing with a substance. If it's not what it says it's in the bottle and you put it on your skin, or forth you take it in your mouth, you might not have a very good reaction. If you've heard from the other interviews on this channel, my friend Chloette tells her story to buying another company's oils and having a horrible reaction to it on her skin. The same thing with my parents, who before doTERRA were trying to find a pure oil and thought they had what it was, a pure oil, and thought was organic, all those things, and had a horrible reaction. And so why I think me and many others are passionate about this company and about what doTERRA is doing and their oils is because we've seen the evidence in our own personal lives with these amazing essential oils. One thing I wanted to talk about a little today is one particular oil is turmeric. Everyone's been talking about it, curcuminoids, and people take curcuminoids for their balancing of that immune system in their body, so to speak. And that doTERRA put the science together, which just is extremely brilliant in putting curcuminoid, which is the powder form of the turmeric, and the turmerols and the turmeric essential oil in a capsule so that we can take them. And I have to tell you, they did tons of science on that. I have a lot of science in my private Facebook group just on that. I posted some slides. So if you want information and you are like me and you are doing the research, you can definitely join my private Facebook group where I do educate more and I do Facebook Lives, and I make sure that you are getting all the tips and tricks so that you can better your health and you can have that daily protocol that's going to move the needle in your health. So for instance, I have a joint, I have a knee that has had issues since an injury quite a few years back. And as it gets cold, it can cause me a little more issue. And the turmeric essential oil, taking it orally, I wasn't consistent on it. Since coming home, I have taken the new turmeric essential oil compound with the curcumin in it on a daily basis. Just one capsule, that's it. And I am feeling major difference in that joint, especially at night. And so I'm not having to reach for my deep blue, if you know what I mean. And so I'm finding that these chemical constituents, these phytochemicals, these plant and nature work synergy with our body in restoring balance. And our bodies will do the self-healing and restoring the balance. They just want the aids of proper nutrition and natural substances such as oils. So if you've never experienced any of doTERRA's essential oils, then it's time to get your sample. It's time to get your free sample. It's time to reach out to me at holistictravelnurse@gmail.com. I'll even be brave enough on this podcast to give you my cell phone to see if you would text me. And that's 720-334-2380. You can go ahead and just say, hey, I listened to your podcast, this episode about essential oils and the chemical constituents of them, and I want a free sample. And we'll work it out. Even if you are in a different country, we'll figure it out. So I hope that this has kind of been helpful for you. I hope that you have an understanding that there are beautiful chemical constituents that not just do amazing things for our body when we breathe them in, but topically and internally they do so much good for our bodies. As a matter of fact, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go put more on me. I'm so excited, and I think it's a blessing to have doTERRA. And if you are working with someone, they sent you this to listen to, please reach back out to them. Get oils in your life. Please keep pursuing natural healing, not giving up, and be empowered. Keep listening to this podcast, and I hope that this podcast will be beneficial to you. Have a blessed day.